Okay, so to give you a sense of the time frame at work here, the gospel reading we just heard was immediately before the feeding of the 5,000. So Jesus and his disciples, they head off to a deserted place to rest and to pray. The vast crowd that was with them saw them leave. They spread the word, and then all those people somehow beat Jesus and the disciples to that secluded place. Not quite sure how they pulled that off, but hey. And so Jesus sees the vast crowd of people. Even though he wants to be left alone and not bothered, he sees the people. He is overcome with compassion for their spiritual hunger, and he gets back to work. So this is a classic case of Jesus acting as a classic literary archetype, the reluctant hero. He's a reluctant hero because even though Jesus just wants to be left alone and not bothered, he saw a situation that required his services. He went on and did amazing things, again, the feeding of the 5,000, because he saw a need that only he could fulfill. That is the reluctant hero mentality, and those figures are everywhere in our history and in our works of fiction. So, in my own opinion, other reluctant heroes would include Cincinnatus of ancient Rome, Judith from the Old Testament, St. Patrick, St. Maximilian Kolbe, Joan of Arc, and you know what? I would include Abraham Lincoln on that list as well. All of those people, none of those people went out looking for fame or glory. All of them were somehow thrust into a situation that made them great. In terms of fiction, you know, we could turn to Princess Leia and Ben Kenobi in Star Wars Episode 4. Not so much the other movies. I would count Harry Potter as a reluctant hero. And in terms of Disney movies, there's a lot of choices, but I think we could easily point to Mulan, Nemo's dad from Finding Nemo, and Beauty from Beauty and the Beast. All those people, all those characters were living their lives and minding their own business. They may not have been happy about it, but they were minding their own business until something happened that forced them to act. That is what makes a reluctant hero. Now you might be asking yourself, Father Justin, maybe being a reluctant hero isn't all that great. After all, isn't it okay if someone wants to go on an adventure without, life offering up the opportunity first? I mean, that's a lot like other people love. That would be more accurate for characters like Luke Skywalker. In a way, St. Francis of Assisi, he's kind of a both-and case. He's a special case. But getting back to the Disney films, Aladdin. Aladdin is in no way a reluctant hero. And while I agree that there's room in the world for both kinds of heroes, it is good for Jesus to be the reluctant kind, because Jesus always acted out of a sense of humility and out of a sense of need for others. The other people's needs is what prompted him to do that. That is a reluctant hero. That fits Jesus better with his identity as, the Son of God. In addition to those specific reasons for Jesus, I think it's also worth saying that you should always be a little cautious of those other kinds of heroes, the fame and glory heroes, the heroes that maybe aren't reluctant enough. Those are the people that sometimes can let you down in their zeal for glory. That was actually one of the first hard lessons about leadership I ever learned. It's back in my teens. I was at a summer camp, and one whole day was devoted to leadership and teamwork building skills. And it was actually kind of cool. Everybody got a turn to be a leader throughout the day. So for the afternoon, I was the first leader of my team for for that series of exercises. And the objective was to go from point A to point B without touching the ground. So I led my team up a series of ladders, and we ended up in a little wooden fort with a long wooden plank. And it was long enough to reach a platform a ways away, and the platform was jumping distance from the finish line. So it was obvious enough what we had to do. So I hefted up the plank and, reached it out toward the platform. And I did this myself because I was the leader. I thought it was my responsibility as a leader to single-handedly get my people to safety. And that's not a good idea because I am a wimp. I have these dainty noodle arms, and I always have had them. If you don't believe me, my softball team plays at Jackson Park on Thursday nights. I'm the worst player of the worst team, so that says something. We have fun, though. Anyway, getting back to the story, I did it myself, and I don't have the upper body strength to do that. So about 3/4 of the way to the platform, the plank, lowered and tapped the ground. Minus 10 points. After that, some of my teammates helped me, and with the 4 of us, we were able to get the plank on the platform, and everybody was able to finish the exercise with no further complications. But at the end of the afternoon, we totaled up all the scores. And wouldn't you know it, all the team scores perfectly balanced out for all the other exercises. So exercise number 2 through however many there were, all the scores were tied. But my team was the only one that finished that first exercise without a perfect score. So if you do the math, that means my team came in dead last because I was too eager to ask for help when I needed it. Took a while to live down that one for the rest of the week, but I learned something that day. I learned that a hero can have limitations and that a leader can ask for help. That is absolutely true. Even if that story is a tad dramatic for you, you know that kind of stubborn decision-making happens all the time. I know you've witnessed this. It's like when you're on the street, just hanging out on the sidewalk, and you see somebody coming in your direction with their arms full, and you can see stuff kind of starting to slip off the sides, and they're still a ways away from their car. And because you're the nice person that you are, I assume, you say, "Hey, can I help you with that?" And they say, no, I've got it, I'm good. And then they make it like 4 more steps, and they spill like half their stuff on the pavement. Every time I see something like that, I think of 14-year-old me at leadership camp. It's stubbornness. It's over-eagerness, and nothing more. And we never see Jesus act like that in the Gospels. Jesus and other reluctant heroes are never over-eager. They always see a need from other people, and then they go out to meet that need as best as they can. That is what a reluctant hero means. And I have always liked that style more than the glory-seeking heroes, because reluctant heroes know their limitations. They know when to ask for help or when it's time for a break. And yet, they also know when it's time to act. And that is the exact decision we see Jesus making in the gospel today. And in just that same way, all of us today can absolutely live heroically, both by the example of Jesus Christ and the power of the Holy Spirit.